will take us to a destination for a purpose. And what I have recognized is that people have been created different and unique. Different's not the same, unique is one of a kind. So every person they have been created by God as a masterpiece. And do you know, if we look at art, masterpieces or original works of art are very valuable. But you can get an original piece of work for $1 million or $5 million, but you can go to the mall and get a copy of that original for $45. So the value is in the original. And what we must recognize is that all of us have been created as a designer's original. Very, very valuable. But what we try and do is do what someone else has done. And because of that, we become cheap copies of great originals. And we devalue what God has created, very valuable. Therefore, I've recognized that individuals are looking for an opportunity to discover what's on the inside of them. But what they do is they would go to seminars and find out how this person purchased real estate or sell real estate, how this person has created wealth. And then they try and do what someone else has done. But if you have not been created and wired that way, what worked for them won't work for you. Therefore, God has created every person tailor-made. And there is a tailor-made wealth plan for you. There's a tailor-made wealth plan for me. There's a tailor-made wealth plan. So in the Millionaire Journey, what we do is we take people through the process so that they can recognize that tailor-made wealth plan for themselves. And so every person has been created a genius. And a genius is exceptional in some things, but a genius is not good at everything. And so what we must discover is what we are a genius at. And when we say that, many people will look at themselves and they will say, I'm not a genius, but yes, you are. Well, how are you a genius? Well, if we look at Einstein, they put Einstein out of school because they said he was incapable of learning. But we know him as what? A genius. So a genius is good at some things, but a genius is not good at everything. And so what I have discovered is that every person has wealth. It is either in your hand, it is something you can do, it's in your ability, something you know, or it's in your house, something you already have or own. The challenge with us is that we have non-performing assets. And my background, I have an accounting background, and I moved over from accounting to investments. And one of the things you don't like to see in business are company with a lot of non-performing assets. So what we want to do is help people identify those non-performing assets and convert those non-performing assets into performing assets, and they'll move into a wealth cycle.
So how do people find out about this program?
Well, what you can do is you can go online at themillionairejourney.org. And it is a website that I have set up where individuals can find information out about the program, about the curriculum. They can order online the curriculum. And I believe that if individuals are willing to go through it and do the work, then they'll be able to come out and leave a legacy, for a wealth legacy for a lifetime. And you know, one of the things that I recognize is that we have to redefine compensation. And I see that there are 3 levels of compensation. Hourly equals compensation. That's the lowest form of compensation. And the challenge is that most companies will pay you for what you have that everyone else has. So hourly equals compensation. But then there's another level of compensation called hourly plus ability equals compensation. And that's better than hourly equals compensation, because we know that hourly is minimum wage or being paid by the time that you put in. But hourly plus ability is better, but it's like a doctor who has been trained to perform surgery, but they won't get paid for the surgery unless they put the time in to do it. And so it still is factoring in your time. I believe that the highest level of compensation is your ability equals your compensation. And so it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're on the beaches in Hawaii, if you're in Bermuda on the beaches, that whether you're putting time in or not, you're still earning compensation. And that's where I believe that individuals should live their lives.
You mentioned that you have a background in accounting and a background in investments.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I have an undergraduate degree in accounting, and I transitioned into the investment arena, and I worked on Wall Street managing a little over $10 billion, and it was the second largest investment fund in the country at that time. And I left New York and came to the Houston area, and I started an investment firm, and in 7 years I grew it to $2.5 billion. And I sold my portion and went to School of Ministry. And I right now have the wonderful privilege of leading, pastoring a church, and leading a group of individuals where not only do I have the opportunity to do something that will impact their future, but I can do something to impact their days and their weeks.
Anything else that you'd like to share with us?
You know, I believe that it's really important that individuals discover their calling. And when you say calling, it simply means that there is someone who is calling, which is God. And they're calling something out of each of us. What are they calling? They're calling the ability that He's placed on the inside. He's calling that out of us. The challenge in life that people pursue careers. You know what a career in the French and the Latin, it means a racetrack and a cart. So what happens when people pursue a career, they get in a cart and they go at a high rate of speed around a racetrack. But the challenge with the racetrack is that it ends up where it starts. So that's where a midlife crisis comes in, where people are so exhausted and they've been pursuing a career, but at one day they look at their lives and they recognize that they're at the same place where they started. And so I believe that we need to pursue a calling, and you'll have many different careers, you can have many different jobs, but you'll only have one calling. And so in this millionaire journey, we help you discover that calling, which is part of the natural ability that God has given you to be exceptional, that God has given you to be exceptional, which will cause you to create wealth in your life. And when you discover that calling and begin to pursue it, then you'll begin to enter into that wealth cycle, and you'll be able to have wealth that will last beyond